Hello everyone, a very good afternoon to all of you. I am Priyanshi welcoming you all on behalf of Solar Quarter and First We Group to the first day of Thailand Solar Week 2021. Hope you had a good time in networking with your peers today. If not, you are missing the opportunity. But no worries, we will be having networking after the sessions till 6 p.m. We will be playing a sponsor video of our platinum partners with Goodwe and Sealant Energy, requesting my team to play the videos. Thank you, team, for playing this video. Now it's time to start with our conference, but before that, I take the pleasure to thank our partners for extending their immense support to organize this event. So, starting with our presenting partner, SMA Solar, Platinum partners, Goodwe and Seed and Cherry, Industry partner, Gur Energy. Now, let me quickly take you through today's agenda. We will be having two sessions today, which will be focused on the utility solar sector, solar market outlook, policies, regulatory framework, tenders, and finance. And the second session would be the big tech trends shaping large scale solar. And now, without any delay, let's begin with our first presentation by Karan Singh, who is the Sales Director of Southeast Asia, SMA Solar India Private Limited. Before that, we'll be having a sponsor video of SMA Solar, requesting my team to start with the video. Thank you so much, team, for playing the video, requesting Karan sir to start with his presentation. The screen is all yours, sir.
Thank you, Priyanshi, and thank you everyone for joining in. And a warm welcome to my co-host and co-speakers, as well as the chair of this session. So just give me 1 second. I will share my screen.
Sure, sir.
So is my presentation visible, Priyanshi?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So first of all, I would like to keep it very short because since we only have a time slot of 10 minutes. So at first, the onset, I would like to say that this year has been very special for SMA because we are actually celebrating our 40th years anniversary in June. So in June 2021, we celebrated our 40th year of business. So that clearly highlights the sustainability and reliability what is SMA as a brand. So our key focus always has been on reliability as well as sustainability, and that was etched again when we completed our 40th year this year. and subsequently we'll be completing many more years to come. I'm going to skip through most of the slide, but I'm just going to focus on the key aspects of where we see solar from the past, let's say 10 years or so, and where we see it in the future. So if you look at it, in 2010, the average cost with respect to solar and as compared to gas and coal was very high. It was almost at around $380 per megawatt hour. But over the years, with the reduction in the pricing of the PV panels, mostly because of the scaling of the capacities as well as the technology improvements, it's very evident by 2020 that there is a grid parity already achieved when it comes to gas and coal with respect to both solar and wind. And in the future, we expect this grid parity to be even better. That means that coal and gas are going to be actually costlier as compared to what solar and wind are. The main reasons being the shortage of resources when it comes to coal as well as gas, and the abundance and the availability of solar and wind resources. At the same time, technological improvements both in the PV segment as well as the inverter and the subsequent accessories on the AC and DC side.
So,
So,
sorry to disturb
yeah.
you and interrupt in between. Can you please start the slideshow?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Is this better?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And also, as we see, vis-a-vis in 2020, we saw an annual installation base of around 120 gigawatt, and we expect this to grow at around 12 to 15% over the next few years, 5 to 10 years. So in 2025, we are actually expecting a PV installation to further increase to almost double the capacity what we have right now to 250 megawatt, and then eventually to 350. So for sure, the focus is renewable, and even in the COP26 in Glasgow, there was a clear message from all of the countries that they want to go net neutral. And depending on the countries, depending whether they are actually a developing country, developed country, and where they are in terms of their carbon footprints, they all decided their net zero target dates. And I assume for Thailand, it was decided at around 2030 or 2035. At the same time, we are seeing a lot of growth when it comes to storage. So the main challenge with respect to solar and wind was always the uh, what can I say, the energy density being towards the morning or the evening hours, but it was never 24 by 7, which was always a big challenge with respect to actually shutting down the coal and gas plants. But with the advent of multiple storage technology, with the coming up of LFP battery technologies, we do expect in the future that storage will also play a big role. And in 2030 and then 40 onward, we actually expect the storage capacity to be significantly increased in the entire world. So this is also a small slide where we wanted to position ourselves that what is power generation today. That power generation today is centralized. So that means that you have central power plant, be it coal, gas, wind, and then via transmission line, they're all distributed to different homes and industries as well. But in the future, what we expect is a distribution or a decentralized kind of energy mix, wherein yes, there will be central power plants as well to maintain the grid stability, but at the same time, people will install solar as well as renewable sources much more closer to the actual requirement. So, for example, rooftop projects, captive project, resco project for industry. So this is where we see is the next evolution and the next future. So, yeah. This is a slide, brief slide about SMA. What is our total installed capacity? So I already mentioned this, that we were established in 1981 with around 18 offices worldwide with multiple subsidiaries, both for sales and service. Already in the industry for more than 40 years, which I can say very proudly, we are one of the only manufacturers purely in the inverter segment who have sustained for so long. We have almost around 100 gigawatt of SMA inverters installed. These are all figures as of 2020 because we have not yet released our financial figures for the current year. We are also one of the largest manufacturers and the suppliers of battery inverters, and we already have around 3 gigawatt already supplied as well as commissioned in the world. Because R&D has always been our strength, we have more than 1600 utility patents across multiple domains, across multiple inverter technologies, with around 3000 plus of SMA employees spread across different geographies. So this is just a brief synopsis or a brief snapshot of how SMA has evolved from a transistor-based inverter in 1987 to our first off-grid solutions offering the Sunny Islands, to our first three-phase inverters which we developed in 2011, which was the Sunny Tri Power. Then with multiple advancement, multiple development, we had the fuel safe controllers, because we did understand that there are a lot of countries where diesel generators are the main grid source. So we also developed the fuel safe solutions. Our Sunny Tri Power Core, which was at that time when it was launched in 2017, won the award in Intersolar. And then now we are moving towards digitalization. So that means the NXOS platform is a first IoT platform for multiple cross energy segment and cross energy management. So basically, you can club in multiple energy sources and you can basically control everything, view everything on a single platform. SMA 360-degree app, which is mostly to do with what how our installers uh, communicate with the inverter. So that is also important. Now we are also moving into the EV charging segment, both type 1 and type 2 as well. Central inverters have always been in our platform. So we earlier, if you remember, we had the CPX3 platform. So now it was upgraded to the UP platform, and now we are already up to an inverter sizing of around 4.2 megawatts. So, and the actual energy density is quite compact. So the picture you see is the actual 4.6 megawatt inverter. These are some of the collaborations we have done over the years. Apart from this, also we have done several more. So in 2008, SMA actually launched our IPO. So that is the year when we actually became a public listed company. In 2014, we entered into a strategic partnership with Danfoss, which was also a big player when it comes to the drive segment. We also had certain partnership with Coniva. So basically, we founded a subsidiary, Coniva, and the main focus of Coniva is to focus on the entire energy management. We are also closely working with both Audi and as well as Elexon, so focusing mainly on mobility, because we do see this to be a future. So these are some of the slides for the reliability, because as I told you earlier, that reliability and sustainability is SMA's strength. So if you look at the factory, the picture on the left is our recently inaugurated testing facility, which was with this capability, we can actually test any inverter up to a size of around 5 megawatt in-house, and all of these lab facilities are both UL as well as IEC listed. So we actually do not have to go outside to get UL and IEC certifications. We can all do it in-house because the facilities are all approved. We do a lot of functional tests. So basically, these are all to do with the reliability of our inverters. So SMA's focus will always be reliability. And when I say reliability, both quality as well as sustainability go hand in hand. So this is just a brief picture of why SMA is considered sustainable. So these are the key milestones that we have seen over the years, that how much environmental damage SMA has saved over the years, what is the energy density or energy used to produce per kilowatt of inverter. And the main factor behind this is most of our manufacturing facilities in Castle are actually net zero. So we don't actually import any energy for the grid, and whatever energy requirements we have are sourced in-house from the solar installations we have on our manufacturing, as well as our entire facility we have in Castle. And 100% transparency with respect to our sustainability activities. So we all comply with the GRI standards. So I think this is just a brief for everyone to go through. All of these details will also be available on our website, because as I said, SMA is a listed company, and all these details are a part of our sustainability report, which we publish annually. Yeah. So this is just a portfolio of SMA, what SMA has. So right from monitoring as well as generation, from storage to energy management and energy market integration. So Coniva is basically a synopsis of all of these five portfolios we have. So meaning right from supply of inverters to energy management via our NXOS platform, and then directly liaising and directly engaging with customers. Right now, the Coniva subsidiary mostly focusing on Europe and the US market, because that is where we see the major demand. But in the future, probably even in the APAC region, we would be launching these activities as well. So these are just simple slides as to how you can save your energy. So I won't go too much into details into these slides particularly. So probably Priyanshi, you can share the presentation once the slides are over with all the participants, for them to go through in their free time.
Sure.
So this is also a small slide when it comes to the bigger utility project, because in the APAC region, if you look at the history, The business actually started with the utility segment. Specifically in Thailand, it was the FIT, which was announced in almost 2010, and most of the installations in the beginning were under the FIT gambit. But eventually, what we have seen that Thailand as a market has evolved, and now most of the installations are actually happening on a free market or a captive consumption based model, wherein an investor can actually work on his ROI, he can work on his average power purchasing cost, he can directly liaise with investors, and investors can actually install solutions on his rooftop, and he can directly have a financial agreement with the investors. So these are some of the service offerings which we have. Repowering is one of the latest offerings which SMA has officially launched. It is already there, actively being positioned in the US and Europe markets, because traditionally they were markets which were much more mature uh, in the solar domain. And now what we are seeing is a lot of inverters which the customer installed are now actually not in business. They're not servicing the inverters. So this is where SMA sees a huge value where we can add, because most of our inverters are customizable. So based on the project, we can customize the inverters and provide a best fit for the customer to actually repower the entire asset. Engineering services is also a very important service what we offer, wherein we can work closely with the utility operators, we can work closely with the developers, with the investors, to actually have help them understand how the impact of the installation of a solar asset will be on the grid. So we work closely with utility operators, and we have a good relationship with most of the utility operators in the SEA region as well as APAC. And this is one of the main reasons for our success in the Australia market, because we have a very good work relationship with EMO, which is the main utility operator in Australia. Smart Connect is basically for your residential inverter, wherein the inverters are actually actively monitored. So it is, in a simple way, it's saying that your inverters have AI, and if the inverter detects that there is a particular fault which is going to happen, it can automatically trigger automatic email to our service team, and then a service team to the logistics team to immediately dispatch the spares according to the proactive analysis of the inverters. Extended warranties is something which SMA has always been known for. So most of our inverters, what we have in our offering, we can offer warranty extension up to 20-25 years. So we basically cover the entire design life of the PV asset. So this is a slide overview of what SMA is. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for this insightful presentation. I can see all the thumbs up by the audience. So, after this, let's move ahead to our next sponsor presentation by Mr. Ned Gay, sir, from Goodwe. So, on the screen, sir, you can share your presentation.
Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can see your screen. You can start with the slideshow. Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Okay, hello everyone. My name's Ned, Solution Engineer from Goodway Solar Academy. Today, I'm glad to introduce you Goodway utility scale solar products and the solutions we are having. Before we start, I would like to briefly introduce you Goodway. We are an inverter manufacturer. This is our vision and mission to create a new era of smart energy. And to be noted, then we have installed over 2 million units of inverters and helped save over 26 million tons of carbon dioxide annually. Well, we start our smart energy journey since 2010. In the past 11 years, we have developed in a dynamic speed and a famous brand trusted by our customers. We were listed on Shanghai Stock Exchange last year, and our business is keeping expanding and growing. As a well-known inverter manufacturer, Goodway has won many awards recognized in the PV industry. For example, Goodway is the only solar inverter manufacturer to win the QB Rainland or Quality Matters Award for 6 consecutive years. We also awarded by Wood Mackenzie as world's #1 hybrid storage inverter supply. Let's start our topic today. First, take a look at our 1.5 kilowatt system inverter and features. HT 1.5 kV series, which is specially designed for large commercial and industry application and large utility projects. This model is fully compatible with mainstream high power modules such as 182 millimeter and 210 millimeter wafer. We will discuss this in detail later. HT 1.5 kV series also offer second generation power line communication, smart IV diagnose, and SVG function. It's also available on these models. Now we have two models for 1.5 kV system. Before we start, let's solve how to select from these two models. If you are using 182 wafer panel, the GW 250K-HT, the model on the left, which is fits all your requirements. But if you are selecting the 210 wafer panel used in your plant, we recommend you the GW 250 KN-HT, the model name with an extra N in it. Our KN is special designed for 210 millimeter wafer module. The main difference is that the KN series has 6 MBPTs, and each MBPT will have 3 strings. Each string current can meet about 20 ampere input current, so that it can fit in large current trend of PV modules. You can see that other technical parameters are almost same with the previous model, including the efficiency. As we know, there is an evolution of PV modules with larger solar cell size and a higher power level, which brings challenges for the whole PV industry. For inverter manufacturer, we need to increase the max in current and the max short circuit current to be compatible with high power modules. Then let's take trainer vertex panel as example. The maximum power current is 17.28 to 17.65 ampere. If used in bifacial condition, the current maybe go reach larger. So our KN series inverter can fully make the most yield of your 210 module for the screen current 20 ampere to cover the screen current. With 3-string design in one MPPT, most clients may have the concern if they need an extra fuse to prevent the 2 strings current backfeed to 1 string. Well, the KN still utilize the non-fuse design to solve this problem, and it equips intelligent DC switch which can automatically trip the DC switch when overcurrent failure. The DC switch can receive the trip signal from the inverter DSP to shut down the DC circuit when emergency. And you have to check the trip signal and the reset switch to recover system. The switch is also rated for break the short circuit current for DC circuit. When it receives the trip signal from DSP. And this is the way we solve the large DC current protection and strings, 3 strings in one MPPT design. So we can see our inverter product line now it can perfectly match 182 and 210 millimeter wafer module right now. Even when you select the large current module with bifacial design, we can also fit your module and bring you more yield without any current shaving. Besides, we would like to share a competitive inverter feature. As we all know, the extreme high ambient temperature provides negative impacts on the PV module and the performance of inverter. We focus on the thermal design to have an inverter with excellent heat dissipation performance. We have competitive liberating temperature curve 1 45 degrees Celsius ambient, we still have a 90% rated output to gain more yield. And this is how we design and the heat ventilation. Then let's quick go through the how we control our product quality to ensure product can have long life cycle. We have the internal and the external third-party certification test lab, and to help to have a strict quality management procedure. And then is the picture showing here is we have strict control production line. All the inverters before shipment, we all have the aging test to extreme hot or cold weather condition, and to only to have gain a very a stable performance. Instead of inverter product, we also bring some system solution and application this time. First is the centralized string inverter and transformer um, solution. This is not new for developers, but we are talking centralized system using string inverter skids or containers, we call virtual central. Is showing on this picture. This one is a skid version. Back to the solutions, you are putting those inverters close to the point of connection. This lower O&M can be achieved by using a virtual central. But longer DC cable design will slightly raise the cost of the system, but what we gain more from this is an easier O&M plan on large size, and you are saving installation later as well. This has been done in a large application right now in China, Qinghai province. We also can install the inverter on a individual skid and build the frame close to the transform step up transformer pad. Besides, virtual central solution compared to central inverter will have lower cost for the do not include any DC combiner box, and also makes up the disadvantage of distributed string inverters longer AC conductor. This also will lower the AC conductor cost and with the lower AC line loss. So we are balancing the system cost by using this solution to lower your LCOE. Based on the central virtual design, this wide branch terminal will further lower system investment. The parallel connection is accomplished by joining the positive of two strings together as well as the negative uh, uh, of two strings together. And then the combined current transported by a 6 millimeter square DC cable to our inverter. At this scenario, the combined current can reach more than 25 ampere. Noted that the two models can still support this large current if each MPPT only connect one string. But the string level monitoring will be disabled, but while the MPPT level monitoring still exists. Well, next product we are releasing to market is Goodway medium voltage container type power station. The medium voltage power station offers very higher power density in plug and play design, and the maximum capacity now up to the 6,800 kVA is suitable for global use. This turnkey system generally have main components, including the medium voltage switchgear and the transformer and the low voltage switchgear, and even the bus duct and internal bus duct and connection cable and the auxiliary circuits in it. The pre-assembled 20-foot container are assembled at the factory and shipped in one piece, so it is simple to drop in place and connect cables. So site work will be less, and all the equipment conforms to Thailand local regulations. Then is the system overview. As you can see, our smart data logger can receive almost all the third party like tracker, the cleaning robots, and other signals, third party signals, all can transfer to our communication box, and we will transfer this signal to the site or the site control or the PPC platform. Next is the plant monitoring system. It is just a local management solution used in plant, which allows control over individual devices. It has functions like for data customization, data analytic, remote control, automatic reporting, and OM management. It's designed for field technicians and control room operators. It also can help you to improve your OM efficiency. Last is our IV diagnose. It's a tool that we are supplying as a software. So there is no additional hardware required. If you got the good V inverter and data logger, as long as these products are installed on your side and you are transmitting that data to our monitoring platform, then we can run IV function on your site. It's basically a measurement of how healthy your strings are. And we've evaluated this on many products. It enables O&M teams to scan like a 100 megawatt power plant in less than 20 minutes. That used to may take manpower around 1 month to carry out. So it really helps to maximizing the revenue of your PV plant, lower your O&M cost. Last, I like to thank you very much for your time. I'm gonna hand it back to the Priyanshi.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful presentation and setting the tone for today's program. Now it's time to begin with our first panel discussion, which is on solar market outlook, policies, regulatory framework, tenders, and finance. And to discuss this, we have in our panel Mr. Punavit Supanich from Green Yellow Thailand, Mr. Jacobus Teig from Salventia Solar, Mr. Rasa Harabit from Prime Road Power, Mr. Joseph Tomkowicz from uh, who is the co-chair of Energy Industry Team, and Mr. Supa Vasairat, who is the session chair for today from Super Energy Corporation. Handing it over to Supa sir.
Yeah, thank you, Piyanshi. Thank you so much. Sawadee. This is my first time for the speaker in the Thai seminar. Anyway, I would not talk too much about myself. I would rather start from um, over how to over speaker. Kun Wanit, maybe you can explain a bit about green yellow. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Kun Supa. My name, may I introduce, please let me introduce myself. My name is Punavit Sapanis, as the
Oh,
Deputy
Kun
Business Development Director of Green Yellow Thailand. Green Yellow is the focus on the providing solar PPA, which is including the investment, financing, engineering, and construction, and also operation and maintenance. We play all the roles in the industry, in the business, and also by now we are have already provided more than 100 megawatt solar PPA in the Thai market, uh, and including 100 more than 139 PPA. So yes, this is a green yellow business. Thank you, Kun Supa.
Thank you. Sorry, Punawit. I'm wrong. I call in the the word is
It's, it's,
Punawit.
it's
Sorry.
okay. It's okay.
How about Kun Joseph? You are from law firm. Any your own supporting for any business?
Well, thank you, Kunsupa. It's good to see you. I know you're traveling, so we appreciate you jumping on this call last minute. So that was a good save. It's a pleasure to be here today. SMA and GoodWe obviously participate significantly in these events, and I think they're very helpful to have. We have 2 days of events. I participated in the past, Kunsupa, as a moderator for panels. I'm a partner at the law firm of Telecky and Gibbons. Telecky and Gibbons is Thailand's oldest law firm, and we have offices in Bangkok, Myanmar, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and Indonesia. And I think I have a very good view, probably as you do at Super Energy, of developments in the region. I know you have significant expertise in Vietnam, and it was very interesting listening to Karen and Ned start off today, both with an overview and the technology piece. But I have a similar vantage point, and I'm working with the region's experts in solar, as well as other energy fields. And so I feel like I can comment today on the maturity of the market in Thailand, some of the regulatory issues related to doing business here, and then some of the personal issues related to the power purchase agreement. I do think Karen's comment really is that we are in a free market in Thailand, and we're seeing a lot of business to business activity. And I think right now that is going to be the area where there's the most progress and the most action. A couple of weeks ago, I heard Harold Link from B. Grimm speak on the topic of solar, and he had a theme that I'd like to drive home today. Reach out to the associations in Thailand, the Thai Chamber of Commerce, the American Chambers of Commerce. Reach out to your regulators, and then reach out to the businesses. It's a tripartite experience that I think we feel is present here at Telecky and Gibbons, and hopefully other speakers will bring that up today. But back to you, Kunsupa.
Thank you, Joseph. I will pass the same question to Mr. Jacobo, and the last one, Kun Ratsa. Okay, Kun Jacobo, can you explain a bit about your business? Thank you.
Sir,
Your microphone.
Hello, sorry for that. Yes, I was saying that I'm happy to be part of this panel today. I'm Jacobo. I'm the Business Development Director for Solventia Solar in Southeast Asia. Solventia Solar is a Spanish CPC with presence besides in Spain and South America here in Thailand, where we've been since 2012. So it's almost 10 years now. We have built around 100 megas of solar PV since we started our operations here. And well, in our perspective, it's been a long ride, a very interesting market for us. First working on the first solar ground-mounted projects in the country back then, and now we are focusing mainly on self-consumption in the country, working for most of the main investors here. And well, let's see how this panel goes, and hopefully we can bring some light into the future perspectives.
Thank you. We love Real Madrid and Barcelona in Thailand.
Madrid better.
Yeah, okay. Kulasa.
Hi everyone, and thank you Kusupa for the share. My name is Rasa, head of the asset management from Palm Road Power. So Palm Road Power is kind of investor and developer in the Asia and Pacific region, and now we're forecasting to go worldwide as well. We have a footprint in Thailand since the Adder project until the new of the scheme like the FIT, and we are the pioneer into the Japan and as well as Taiwan market as well. Currently, we have projects in Japan, in Taiwan, and currently just won the bidding in Cambodia. So we are developing that as well. In terms of the business in Thailand, we also have like the arms, like the subsidiary company to be the EPC of the solar roof as well. So I hope our regional expertise as well as local to be shared to push, the renewable energy, especially solar in this session to be forward in the future. Yeah. Thank you, Kap.
Sorry, Supa, the microphone, just like me.
I did not look aloud. Okay, sorry. I think we have 4 of the experts in many of the perspectives. So I will start with the question. I will group in 3 or 4 questions. The first question I would ask some of you, if you can answer about what about the utility scale market, current install capacity and potential market size, And how about the subsidy and incentive available for developer? Okay. And I plus with what is the intervention are required to boost up the growth for developer perspective. This question will come to Kun Punwanit first. Maybe you can answer some, or you can combine what your knowledge about market to answer us first. Okay, thank you, Kun Punwanit.
Okay, thank you, Kun Supha. For me, I would share about what the interventions and that we know that as we know, the COP26 last month had targeting to reduce carbon emission to zero by 2050. I think we think it's a quite a challenging target. So we do think the government shall play important roles on this target by make more awareness to the industry sector, which is one of the biggest emitter in the electricity system. So that to make awareness of how importance of renewable energy contribution to this challenging target, but not only just awareness to make, but also can make the driving force by implement some attractive privilege, such as the tax exemption or reduction similar to the DOIs that we have today to the end user. But maybe they should make it more easier to be accessed. As Clean Yellow is the solar PPA provider, we are not also produce clean energy, but also can make the saving to our client in the same time. So if the end user in the industrial sector that aware of this importance, we think we both can make the contribution to the target and also make a growth for solar industry by implement the solar PV rooftop in their business. Thank you.
Thank you, Kun Punawit. It's very clear, and I quite agree with you about this mechanism about the carbon credit. So I will ask again with a similar question to Kun Rasa. What do you think about three things? Market side, I don't think that we should talk about this. Thai is about 4 gigawatt, right? Vietnam about 16 gigawatt. So I think my question is about the incentive or invention that's to boost the growth. Maybe you have a similar answer with the Punawit, or you have different idea. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Kun Supha. So first of all, I do agree with Kun Punawit. I think the government has a very clear goal on to support the COP26, referring to the PDP Power Development Plan 2018 Revision 1 that they just adjust. Even though they minimize solar to be minimize like smaller the size of 700 megawatts, but still in 2030 solar utility scale that they expect is still 4,500 megawatt, which is 45% of the total renewable energy in the portfolio. I mean, main of that is floating solar from EGAT and also the rooftop. And also another one can be the game changer that we would like to see how the policy can twist and subsidize that we're going to discuss. I think the first one that from the utility scale that can be add on is maybe the microgrid that the kind of investor or developer can be take part in to support and develop on that. And especially on the adder project that in the past 8 years that we have the adders and it's going to be end soon. I think it can be the pilot or the sandbox that the ERC or the ECAT can be, a PA can be continuous support on the battery to be implement on that. And in addition, as well as the BOI on the tax benefit to support the battery scheme to on top of the other projects that we are already operate under operation at the moment in many provinces in Thailand. And I see now that the battery is the new potential game changer for solar to be supportive for solar project. And hence we can see that they support also on the SPP hybrid firm. And we look forward to see more of that in the future in the bidding scheme. So the second thing that we do see is that the policy twist for the peer-to-peer trading. We see the model of successful model from Japan and Europe, and we start to see on many countries, and as well I think it's on the sandbox as well under the Energy Regulatory Commission or ERC about this wheeling charge. But the announced currently wheeling charge price is still high. So I think it's under the negotiation and discussion among the government parties in order to lower this wheeling charge. And hence it's going to be the big push to the peer-to-peer trading and hence to support the utility scale or even though the smaller scale solar in the future. Another thing is that we do see the mega trend as Kun Punavich mentioned about COP26 and or even the RE100. So we see that's the mega trend, and we appreciate if the government could be support to bridge to make it happen to the net zero through the RE developments, and that can be through the collaboration of synergy between Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Energy, or even the ERC and EGAT to support the IREC, the renewable energy credit, to be part of the long-term contract in order to support on top of the feed-in tariff. So that's the model of Korea that they are doing on the renewable energy credit on top of the feed-in tariff. That's going to be the big plus, and I think these are three main things that we look forward to intervene in case that's going to help to push the solar utility scale in Thailand to be evolved further. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think okay. I quite agree on so that you add about the battery energy storage system. How about you, Jacobo? You are like a foreigner or in contactor in Thailand. Any idea that about this?
Yes,
Okay.
foreigner. I've been here in Thailand 5 years already. But well, I have a similar perspective that both Rasa and Punachit shared in terms that the power development plan has to go in line with the agreements on COP26. Right now, I think that as Rasa shared, PDP, the power development plan, is a bit short on the solar investment. It helps more other kind of energy. It focuses more also in natural gas. Also for solar, it relies on importing energy, which is something that with the capacity that we have in Thailand could change, no, to promote more local development. So from that side, that's clear that things need to change a little in this power development plan, and then in the next one, it has to keep up a little with the agreements that took up last month in COP. Then regarding the possibilities that there is, well, there's for utility scale projects, there's been lately two trends, which would be auctions, like in similar countries in the region, like in Vietnam, they've been doing in Malaysia, in many places in Europe. That would be the first option. And the one that I like the most, it would be the peer-to-peer scheme that Rasa mentioned, also because at the end, I don't think that solar require that all incentives, like like happened before with the other version. So we don't really have to rely on that, and it's competitive in the market. So I think that it's not about incentives; it's about promoting a more liberalized market. No, so in that matter, for the utility scale, I think the peer-to-peer would be a good scheme to promote more solar energy consumption, and then also the auction. Then they were also talking about the self-consumption market, because it's right now the biggest in Thailand. Well, in that one, there's also a couple of schemes that would help, such as net metering, which is being implemented, but for very little residential installations, and that can be, upgraded to larger installations. So they will help these companies to build a larger rooftops. We've been coming across lately that we do installations that are not are just for self-consumption. So we are leaving a lot of space available that could be also integrated into the grid.
Thank you. How about you, Joseph? Do you have any idea or different angle or perspective from the legal side? Maybe you have some idea to add up.
Yeah, thanks, Kun Supa. I mean, these are great discussions. I really am enjoying listening to Rasa. This is the first time I've met him today here, so some very good ideas. But I think Jacobo, I think you call him the foreigner, which is good, but he raises a very good point. The energy transition, as we know it, is largely contingent upon LNG and gas in Thailand for the next 10, 15 years. It's a significant part of the power development plan and the energy planning that we're seeing done in Thailand. And so that is something we have to acknowledge and address. We have a very sophisticated energy player in town, in the country, dealing with the various contracts that are in place there, production sharing and concession. As we move into this new arena of PPAs, it really seems to me like we have a very intelligent legal and business community when it comes to negotiating and working with terms of the PPA. Rasa, Jacobo, Kunkunovic, and I know your company knows very well how to structure these, and so it's not a question of capabilities. I think the question you started with is what type of incentives are we seeing, and are they coming quick enough? They can always come faster. We're obviously seeing a lessening of the standards for the smaller projects when it comes to the length of time and the requirements for getting environmental impact assessments ready and together. We're also seeing the Thai Board of Investments offer a series of tax incentives for both renewable power generation and for the manufacturing of parts of equipments. And so those are good steps in the right direction to help the aggregated content owner, like an SMA or a GoodWe that's making its own products or bringing in its own products, obtain some efficiencies and some economic benefits from this. I think we've also saw some very good regulation in 2020 that we're rolling out through 2021 that talked about household installations of solar panels and the 2.2 baht per unit at 10 years. If you can get it, right? And so we're seeing some benefits that are out there that are available to some. And I think we're going to need to see those pick up. The gas in place is going to fill the gap, right? And so we have a very strong competitor on the other side of the fence that is more than willing to keep producing gas in large volumes. It's just a matter of, even if we follow Karen's statistics of doubling capacity, photovoltaic capacity, under COP26 targets or under ASEAN targets, that still leaves a considerable distance to replace gas in 15 years. And so there's a call to the solar industry, and all of you guys are doing fantastic work and picking up the pace, but we're going to need the regulations to move along with this to keep the pace of this development. It's been fantastic progress, and we're going to hear from some excellent folks in the afternoon session and the later session, like Frank Constant, who have been fighting this battle for 20 years now, right? So this isn't the beginning. We're deep into this now. So this is a long process, and you guys have been doing a fantastic job. But really, COP26 and the carbon reduction emission standards have been pushing this. So those are my views, but excellent comments, Rasa, Kunpunovic, and Jacobo. I think really good stuff, and I'm looking forward to hearing some more.
Yeah, thank you, Joseph. But still with you, I have another question, and it is two questions in one question. With you, what is the financial option available for utility or solar project? The second, in the one is a role and being played by development bank in utility sector. On your opinion, Mr. Joseph. After that, I would like Mr. Ratsa and Jacobo to answer. Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Obviously, Kunsup, I think you and I would agree. You're Vietnam, and I have some other offices in other areas. We're seeing a lot of assistance, financial assistance, Myanmar, Cambodia, Asian Development Bank, a lot of domestic and regional players as well, playing a significant role in helping to finance some of the even larger projects that are out there, and that goes into wind as well. So solar and wind, I think, are a very active, robust market. So I'm not going to be critical of the financial investment. I think we've heard from both Ned and Karen some of the financial incentives these companies are willing to include in these projects. So I don't think I'm going to complain there either. With respect to the terms, I think we've talked about some of them already. I'm not. I think I'm more focused on the business to business PPA terms that I'm seeing, and those are a little more flexible in terms of what parties are willing to give each other. I think it's designed that way, and I think this is what Jacobo had mentioned and Karen had mentioned, that the captive consumption and the free market really are driving the terms of the contracts, and those are private contracts, so they're going to be fixed over long terms, where 15 to 20 years. We're going to look at a return on investment that's going to be able to cover the capital investment and the operating expense over time, and there's going to have to be a significant amount of attention paid to the capacity of the facility and then the actual output of the facility. So I think we're probably starting to experience the front end of dispute resolution over the building of facilities and how contractors are meeting milestones. I think COVID was a disaster in this regard in terms of having schedules and milestones met under contracts, and I don't think we've really sorted out all of the messes we have from COVID, but I think the parties are acting very responsibly generally on delay and force majeure. And so those would be my general comments, and maybe that'll provoke some discussion from others here. I know we're running closer to the end, so I'd really like to hear from some of the other guys here.
Could Jacobo, could Rasa go very quick on this? Yeah, please.
Yes, very quick. I agree basically on the concept that large projects are well financed here. Well, in Thailand was the first country in the region to start with the other tariff. So local banks and financing has experience on this. So they know how to do it, and I believe that they will be able to improve. So in that part, I think there's not that much necessity. But if we go into private PPAs, both for industrial or even residential, is where maybe we have to pick up more the pace. In industrial, I think we rely more on external finance. So that's something that could change a little with local support for financing these projects. And also, I think that Thai banks are not as flexible maybe as European or American banks in terms of providing finance to residential, so they are or they can access to this kind of projects easily. And I think that's one of the, besides the permits and the permits problem to access to these self-consumption projects, is also financing for this residential, a problem that is not pushing forward. And I think that locally and local finance, which is the only solution for that, should improve a little more. And it's in flexibility, where I think that they should focus more.
Okay, I just would like to add a little bit on Jacobo. I do see the same thing that the local Thai banks and facilities on insurance on also supported for non-recourse finance is very strong. We have the maturity markets recently, and the Thai banks is fully support for the non-recourse project finance in case the covenant can be covered and collateral. So in terms of the trend, I think I do see also the COP26 ESG investment to be kind of the green bond, and also things to be penetrating into the market as well. The banks, the insurance not gonna lend the coal projects anymore, and that's the regional and global trend, mega trend. In terms of the development bank, we work with a development bank as well in Cambodia, and we do see that they really push forward to support the developing country on this. But depends on, we need to have the technology and breakthrough story behind. Given as I mentioned, the pure solar projects in Thailand have been kind of mature, so I think we need to have the kind of the story another new technology to support on the ESG, some kind of story in order to make this kind of development to be lens. And at the end of the day, this development is very critical. They're gonna help support you the policy drive to secure the land, to kind of the pre-study to minimize risk as much as we can, to be the lead arranger or even relative provide the syndicate loan with a relatively low interest. But you need to also take into account of the ESG governance, including the kind of the environmental, social, and gender and governance as well. So that's going to come with your benefit. You need to also comply with the environmental and social international standard.
Thank you. I think it's. I also learned a lot about the private power. You know what you did in Cambodia, because one of my staff it come from private, and I asked them a lot. That is a Vietnamese guy. I think it's quite interesting. I have the last question, but I combine with the three altogether. I will ask Kun Punawit first. Okay, what are the upcoming tender in utility solar? I have no idea. And how about the tariff? And the last question inside the big question, how about the potential of floating solar project? Okay, Kun Punawit, you have any idea about this? Please go ahead.
Sir, you are on mute.
Sorry, I forgot to open my microphone. Okay, thank you, Kun Supha. That as we know so far that EGAT plan to implement the floating solar totally around 2.7 gigawatts in 2037, and in this number that 2 gigawatt will be the invest by the EGAT themselves, and another 7 megawatt maybe they will be open for the FIT bidding. And besides this one, I think there are still many unused points around this country that those potentially to be developed, whether public pond or private pond in the industry sector. We can see that if we talk about 10 years ago, most of the solar projects was dominated by ground mount, solar ground mount, and today recently the rooftop become more percentage in the market. And also I think the floating solar will become more interested in the market. As I know, this year maybe the floating solar have been implemented around or more than 100 megawatts, including the 45 megawatt in Sirinthorn Dam that we know that. Okay, for the as Clean Yellow focus on the providing the solar PPA solution, we look forward that the industrial sector can utilize their plant to generate the savings. That's it. That's my idea. Thank you, Mustafa.
Thank you. I will pass this to Kun Ratsa, and then I will come to the question from the listener. Okay, from the audience. Kun Ratsa, can you, because you are a Thai company, you have any idea about government utility sector, and how about the floating solar?
Yeah, I will just expand the point from Kun Bunavich on floating with EGAT. So yeah, we do see that EGAT has successfully the first project in Sirinthorn Dam, and they very happy on that. So in order for the long term, that to minimize the energy import from the hydro dam in from Laos, I think this is a gap that EGAT would like to close, and they very happy on the floating. And what from developer side is that we would like to let EGAT to allow the collaboration more from the in country developer, maybe for open for the JV, or even though the kind of the investor to develop or invest in the floating dam from EGAT ourselves. So that's going to be the big potential, because I think in terms of the utilization available from these 14 hydropower plants currently in Thailand, the big one, I think there are a lot of potential on the floating solar. So And at the end of the day, I think the JV may be possible because and high potential because the land use right and kind of the things that kind of operation and maintenance that we need to collaborate with solar floating together with the hydroelectric dam that needs to be synchronized very closely. So I think in case it's going to be very interesting movement in case it get open for JV with the local developer.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I'm not sure about the cost of floating solar. It be higher than the solar farm or not because of the floater is quite expensive. That's what I learned from the last 3 years. Anyway, I'm encouraged because they do not pay for the land. I'm not sure it's a question or it's just only introduced to the old audience. Maybe I ask Jacobo and Joseph can answer about any idea that you think about in general. You can reduce the cost of O&M in the solar plants. Maybe you have a different idea. You work in abroad, you work in Europe. Jacobo first and Joseph, maybe you can see any idea about the cost saving on O&M. Okay, please go ahead.
The cost in O&M, you mean?
Yeah. Cost saving in O&M.
Okay. Well, at the end, it depends on the location. It's not as much as in Europe or here is more expensive or not. It depends on the location and several things like dust in the location, nearby activities such as industry, roads. So it's not that much depending on where it's located in terms of development. Is more on where it's located in terms of dust and other activities that can decrease the efficiency of the system. So at the end, it's not decreasing, but well, there's new systems and they are developing new systems for the cleaning, which at the end those are the ones that increase that efficiency of the plant, and those are the ones that probably you have to put more focus in order to keep the level of O&M as reduced as possible while enforcing the output of the solar plant.
Okay, good. Thank you. Good, Joseph. How about you? You have any idea that's from your country side?
Yeah, I think those are good comments, Jacobo. I think, when I look at this from a warranties and reps in the contract, I go back to Karen's initial comments where he talks about a life of product warranty or a life of product service along with this. I think as long as you have good service providers, you can contract for coverage in these areas. I think as you get to remote areas and you don't have access and you don't have supply chain and you can't get a road there, I think of, with all due effect, I think of Indonesia's challenges. Indonesia's remote locations are truly remote and in some contexts, impassable. And so I think Jacobo's point is right. Climate here, we know the variations from north to south. We know the temperature gradients. We know the angulature issues that you guys face. And that's all stuff that good businesses are going to be competitive on. But I think there is really the notion of making sure your reps and warranties are in place and understanding what services you're going to get, because there are climate issues here that are sensitive. And I think of this as well as you move through northern Myanmar, which is radically different in both heat and dust and other variables from southern Myanmar. So I think the folks, SMA, you guys are understanding these nuances now, and we have good discussions and PPA negotiations. It's no longer what are we doing or what are the gray areas. These are all, you have guys like Rasa who really know how to negotiate these terms. So I don't think it's happening as blindly anymore. I think there's a lot of very informed decision making about that. So I think what we're going to see, hopefully, is a reduction in OPEX along with these projects that will make them even more and more competitive and economical and hopefully profitable for you guys as you figure out ways to stay on top of this, as you figure out ways to contract for support services in remote locations, and you'll find good contractors in that regard. And we're starting to see all that. But I see Priyanshi's come back up. So Kunsupa, I'm going to go back to you.
Thank you. I have last question because I'm running out. For four of you, you have anything to comment or to add up 1 minute about the Thai market? what to do or what to recommend on this matter. Start from Kun Punavit first, okay? Final, okay? You want to add
Okay.
something
Yeah,
for the
thank you.
audience?
That yeah, for my comment. Actually, we are waiting for that good news for the third party access that we can sell the unused electricity from a location that the power plant where we build the location where we build the power plant and sales to the client far away by using the
Good
PV
idea.
grid.
I
Yes,
love it.
yeah, we are waiting for that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Kulasa, okay, 1 minute, please.
Okay, kind of similar thing. We would like to see all of the sandbox model that currently under the Energy Regulation Commission to be shorten the timeline and release the result very soon. Given one of that is also wheeling charge that Kunpunawit just mentioned to kind of boost the peer-to-peer trading. And also we would like to see the mega trend of the COP 2026 to be in line among all the parties, Ministry of Industry, Energy, EGAT, and everyone to be involved together to push. That's going to be the booster for solar energy as well, and take part of it is going to be the carbon credit and kind of the renewable energy certificates. That's going to be requirement, demand, and supply to be balanced by the government management. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Love to see that. Okay, how about your foreigner, Could Jacobo and Could Joseph? You put up for to comment, please. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I will point out two of the things that I mentioned before in terms of Thailand objectives. I think we have to change and improve our future plan for electricity integration. So that would be the first point that we should work a little. And then the second one is more related to self-consumption and the deregulation that we need in order to have the rhythm with the necessity of more electricity in the country. And with those two, both electricity and the utilities.
Your line is not clear.
In CNI.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Not clear. Okay. Anyway, thank you. Could Joseph, your last one, okay, please? And
Yeah, well, thank you.
Send back to Bianchi, okay.
Sure, and thanks for that, Kunsupa. A good job today. I know, again, appreciate that you just got off of an airplane. I think Kun Rasa really raised a good point, and he continues to raise good points today. For Thailand Solar Week 2022, we're going to be talking about hopefully a unification of the COP26 acceleration for mega, right? And so hopefully we're going to start to address the carbon credit issue with a little more sophistication. Hopefully we're going to see these things start to come together. So there really is a big role for SMA and for Priyanshi and the team to keep having these events and keep discussing these developments, because if we talk about them and we make it known, hopefully we can drive the energy behind this, because it's going to be an uphill battle to battle the conventional resources that are taking up the supermajority of our energy right now. And we need them. We need the large players to be out there doing that, but we also need the regulatory facilitation by the bringing together of these entities that Kun Rasa acknowledges. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think conferences like this become more and more important, and thought leaders like you on this panel are the folks who are going to set us straight as to how to do this. So we're looking for your guidance, but we're also looking for substantial performance to get these projects done and going. So thanks again, gentlemen. It was a pleasure talking with you today. And
thank you. ขอบคุณครับ ขอบคุณครับ Thank you everyone. So ขอบคุณครับ คุณปุณวิทย์ คุณรัศา คุณโจเซฟ
Thank you ครับ ขอบคุณครับ
Could be Yanchi, you have to close this section and go to break time, right? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Before ending the session, I have one question for Karan sir. Karan sir, are you with us?
Yes, Priyanshi.
Yeah. So I just wanted to know, what do you feel the future and scope of repowering in Thailand? I would like to know it from you.
So, as I told briefly in my presentation, also Priyanshi, that Thailand in the APAC region has traditionally has been one of the oldest markets when it comes to renewable. It's actually older than Australia, even China, right? The one of the first projects were actually installed in Thailand when the FIT was there. Now, in those times, if you most of the inverter manufacturers available, again, I'm not going to name names, but a lot of them which were actually used are no longer there in active production or active service. They might have sold their inverter business. Some of them have like shut their inverter business now. So where it leaves the investors is that there is no after sales service, right, for those components, for those inverters specifically. So that is where we see repowering is definitely going to be a huge potential business in Thailand. And because it's already happening in most of the mature markets like Germany, US, which have been running solar for, let's say, like 35 plus years. So in those countries, SMA is already very active when it comes to repowering. And the main USP we have is that our inverter voltage as well as the AC current are customizable. So basically, what it means is that the investors doesn't have to change anything on the AC side, because that is the biggest bottleneck we have. Today, if you change the inverter, the AC voltage changes, and then the customer has to change the transformer, the medium voltage switchgear, and all the other associated accessories on the AC side. With SMA, we can actually derate our inverters. So I can derate my inverters from let's say, for example, from 400 volt AC to 300 volt to 240 volt. So this is where SMA's strength is, that we are able to cater to the market of repowering.
Thank you so much, sir. Your closing remarks really added value. And thank you so much, Supa, sir. You were really absolutely outstanding. Thank you so much for a terrific and very professional example you set as a moderator. Also, thanking all the panelists. You all added on value, and the discussion went really well. Everybody is wishing we had more time, but that's okay. So, see you all soon. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you everyone ขอบ
Thank
คุณ
you
ครับ Thank you
ข
again
อบคุณครับ Thank
Thank
you
you,
ขอบ
everyone
คุณ
everyone.
ค
ครับ
รับ
Thank you
Thank you.
เจอกันนอกรอบครับคุณปุณ
ครับ
วิ
ผ
ทย์
ม
วรสาสวัสดีครับ
ครับสวัสดีครับ
ครับ
Welcome back, attendees. It's time now for our second session. So, now it's time to start with the much awaited panel discussion for the session of the Big Tech Trends Shaping Large Scale Solar. In the esteemed panel, we have with us Mr. Chawanat Sir from Green Yellow Asia, Mr. Hadi Ganjine from Super Energy Corporation, and Mr. Nonti Sir from Mod McDonald, Mr. Ned Gay from Goodwi, and Mr. Ajay Deepak from SMA Solar Private Limited. So the discussion will be led by Nonti Sir, welcoming all the panelists on the screen and handing it over to Nonti Sir. Take it ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, Bianchi, and nice to meet you and welcome to session 2 in the team of the big technologies trends, the tech trends shaping the large scale solar. I mean, please feel free to interrupt us in case you haven't hear us really clear. All right. So my name is Nonti Chesngon. So I'm your moderator for this session for today, and we have our experts from various fields to share the ideas from the developers of the solar PV, the solar PV solutions providers, inverter and tracker solutions manufacturers to discuss and share ideas around these topics. Please allow me, before we look ahead towards the future of the solar PV, please let me take a moment to appreciate the current status of solar PV in Asia and globally, and briefly point out towards the expectations in the future where more detailed discussion will be provided by the panelists. All right. So at the present, we have seen various forms of large-scale solar PV plants deployed across the regions. The most common type of the large-scale solar PV plants being ground mount solar PV systems, either fixed tilt system or the tracking system. And there is also ongoing exploration of large-scale solar PV plants on different type of the area. For example, the floating large-scale PV plant or the rooftop solar PV plant on the building or on the tower of the facilities. The commercial development of the latter two types of the solar PV plants, floating and the rooftop system, becomes more and more active in the regions. And as the solar PV becomes more and more common, it is undeniable that solar PV is one of the key drivers in the energy transitions toward renewable energy in Asia. And one of the reasons for the solar PV popularity is the rapid technological development across solar PV industry in Asia. And the highlight area being the PV modules development, inverters, either to be the trend toward the central or the string inverters, micro inverters, or future smart inverters, and of course the mounting structures. I mean, to achieve higher output like single axis or dual axis tracking systems. Apart from that, with increasing attractiveness of the solar PV and overall shift toward the renewables, it is becoming more and more sensible on the needs of energy storage systems, where the main application is to reduce the intermittent issues in the power export to the grid. Even though there is no clear existing policy to drive the integration of energy storage, yet I mean, some of the countries in Southeast Asia, like for example, in Indonesia, Singapore, and Malaysia, they start planning to put forward on the development plan in the next 5 to 10 years. And that sounds very promising. Last point before I leave this to hand over this to our panelists is that not just only the development of the key technologies and facilities of the solar PV plants, everyone may notice that many parties start adapting to utilize new innovative approach and digital tools in order to be more efficient player in the solar PV industry. Specifically, looking at the large-scale solar PV plant, the site investigations during various stages of projects and asset management are two highlight areas that can improve. And with the utilization of the digital tools and data, where the key examples may be aerial inspections, real-time generation forecastings, and digital twins platform, which we will try to cover within this session too as well. All right, this is the introductions to these sessions, and now please allow me to officially kick off the sessions. All right, so at the starting point of the discussions, maybe we can start with the first topic on how large-scale solar PV plants will look like in the next 4 to 5 years from now. What technologies, development, trends will be seen and shaping the future of solar PV plants. I personally believe that, I mean, everyone in these sessions would like to hear the opinion from each of our panelists, each of our experts on these topics. So maybe let's start with Mr. Hadi. Maybe for each of you, for the first time, you may want to introduce yourself and a little bit short on your companies and sharing your idea. All right.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me here. I appreciate Nancy, right, if I pronounce your name correctly, for moderating this panel discussion. So I'm Hadi Genjine. I'm head of IT Integrated Technology and Innovation of Super Energy Corporations in Vietnam. So Super Energy, basically, it's a company, mostly investors, like also we are doing some other part of the sections in renewable energy, but we can consider ourselves as investors in this field. We have more than over 20 years experience in solar energy and other part of the energies like wind-based energies in Thailand and Vietnam. So we have about 150 plants under development and operation as well in both countries. So if I would like to present our company, we can consider Super Energy as one of the pioneers energy companies in Southeast Asia that has experience in Thailand, Vietnam, and we hope we can develop our company next few years in other countries as well. Thank you.
Sure. And Hadi, what is your view on what should, just in your opinion, your perspective, what should be large-scale solar PV plants will look like in the next 4 to 5 years from now?
So as we are looking to the historical data of solar energies and solar PV panels or other technologies related to this part in last 10 years, we can see a lot of development in these areas, such as decreasing the cost for the panels about 80-70% and increase the generation and the power of the modules. So in 10 years ago, so we have about like the generation that we had or the power watt we had for the modules, it was about 250 in the dimension of 2 meters squared. but now we can see the dimensions increase about like 20-30%, like 2.5 meter or 2.78 meters. However, the increased generation in that area, in power area, it almost 100% or more than 100%, that we can see the modules that can have about 600 watt or 500 plus watt in that area. So it's about 100% development in solar module technologies. Not only about the modules, related technologies in this part as well, like the storage as well, or the other technologies related to inverter or like and inverters. We can say like the inspection system to operation, maintenance, the softwares, cloud computing, and everything. So if we look at next 5 years in Thailand as well, so we can see the industry 4.0 in the technology and industries as well. So in the Thailand, we can see also like energy 4.0 that it's submitted by Thailand government in last 3-4 years, and they are developing for 2037, as I know. So the development will be a lot in this field. In the next 5 years, we can see large scales based on the module increase, inverters, the capability of the generation, and the cost, decreasing the cost of investment. We can see a lot of big revolutions in that area. I see in next 5 years, we can see the cognitive system there, like the automated robotic cleaning system there, the drone inspection system there, the smart AI and machine learning systems for inverters, for SCADA systems, for other part of the monitoring as well there. So it will be huge development in next 4 or 5 years. So it's not gonna be comparable for the technology we know at the moment, because till now every technology grow in the solar energies. It was about the hardware part. Now we can see the integration in other part as well. Like this is the integration of the storage company, manufacturers, the developers, the investors. So all coming all around together, and by supporting the government and other factors like infrastructure are providers. So it can be huge development in next few years in energy industry, not only in solar, but other part as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hadid. That's pretty much cover most of the aspects that we are looking forward for the near future of the solar PV developments. Maybe if I walk around to maybe Mr. Shawanat from Clean Yellow Asia, if you would like to very short brief of your company, and if you have any opinion towards what should be the large scale solar PV plants in the next 4 to 5 years.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Chawanat. I'm Solar Development Manager at Clean Yellow Thailand. Our main business is to provide private PPA solution. We will provide a one-stop service for energy system, where we do everything including financing, designing, constructing, licensing, monitoring, and maintenance to the customer with regard to their energy need. Yes, I hope that our knowledge and experience will help you. Okay, for the answer to your question, I think there are many new technology developed recently that will change the solar business. There are mega trends happened from the few years ago, focusing on the IoT, blockchain, and platform. This technology will transform the solar system business, and the new utility scale market will become more distributed and has smaller size.
Thank you so much, Kap. Then maybe next is Mr. Litesh from Scorpius Trackers.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? How's everyone? Am I audible?
Yes, Ritesh. Yes, all good here.
Yeah. So if you can repeat the questions, or you want me to do an introduction?
Sure. Yeah, maybe a very brief introduction of your companies, and also what is your view towards how large-scale solar PV plants will look in the next 4 to 5 years?
Okay, thanks. Yeah, just to introduce myself, I manage the global business development for Scorpius Tracker. We are a cutting-edge single-axis tracker technology provider for global plants. We've got plants in Africa, Saudi Arabia, Japan, India. In fact, we're building just recently building a 250 megawatt bifacial tracking plant in India, completely bifacial. So the future, there are a number of studies that have happened that the future is going to be bifacial with trackers. If you look at it from that perspective, 90% of all future plants are going to move towards tracking with bifacial. In the past, we've seen Thailand has been more of a fixed tilt sort of domain, and now slowly even the old plants are moving towards single axis tracking. And single axis tracking plays very well with storage system. So in the future, what we can see in the Southeast Asia as well as globally, trackers with bifacial and storage is going to be the future, because your grid also needs to be stabilized, and that is where it plays a key part. So that's my take.
Yeah, that's really good point as well, and I would like to confirm on this point as well. We have experienced and witnessed some of the projects start to repowering their plants from the fixed systems. They would like to change to the tracker system and with the combinations of the bifacial modules in order to further gain the bifacial gains on the backside of the PV modules by receiving more irradiation at the backside when using the tracker system. And that is something I agree that we expect to see this becoming the new trends in the near future for the solar PV projects development. I agree. Maybe move to Mr. Neshke, our electrical engineer from Goodwe, if you were to introduce Joseph company a little bit, and what is your view on these topics?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Yeah. Well, first, introduce of our company. Goodwe actually is it's a inverter manufacturer. We have been founded on 2010. Over the past 11 years, we keep working on the inverter, most focused on residential, commercial, and industry inverters manufacture. Now, but during these two or 3 years, we have entered the utility scale solar projects. For we are offering the 1,500 volt DC system inverters and some related products like the MV stations and the monitoring system and the site control system and relating of it. Yeah. This is a Goodwe company introduction. Yeah, and so we are talking about the technical breakthroughs in inverter, right? And as we can see, the inverters from about 10 years ago look hugely different from today's inverter, and nowadays are more intelligent for the system and more integrated, connected, and lightweight and flexible. And also their costs have gone down and their efficiency have gone up. First step in making string inverters smaller and more efficiency, the power density of an inverter keeps going high, benefit from the heat dissipation, design technology, and integrated internal components. The integration reduce complexity and component size as well as cost. Besides, the communication and the control capability offer benefits to the grid with intelligent software to control inverter output, to provide stability and coordinated strategies to the grid and renewable energy, increasing to the grid. So to be concluded, the integrated design with higher power density and the heat ventilation and grid-friendly protection and controllability technology are what we think the breakthroughs in inverter. But talking about the technologies also may preferred by developers, they may have different view. For example, safety and reliability are always the first concern for the developers, and they also expecting some better solutions. We can lower the cost. So we also this also relating to integrated design and or intelligent software technology to solve the problem. And we also notice in the different scenario, the customers may also need some power limit solution and some power heat ventilation and different requirements and on the global market. So what we are having is to make our inverter more intelligent to solve all these problems, like the architectation and the protection solution. And so this is about the technology breakthroughs we are seeing today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Net. That is pretty clear and cover on the aspects in relation to the inverters. Last but not least, Mr. AJ Deepak from SMA. If you would like to introduce your company profile a little bit, and what is your view towards the future of the solar PV plants?
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Ajay Deepak. I'm a project manager in SMA Solar. SMA is founded 40 years back. This is our 40th year. So we are in inverter business, and inverters are manufactured in Germany, shipped globally, and we have more than 100 gigawatt of inverters installed all over the world. So in Thailand, we are active for more than 10 years. We have projects with SMA inverters installed, which have crossed warranty or crossed install base of more than, let's say, 12 years now. These inverters are still in the warranty for another 10 years. So coming to the projects, how it looks like in next 5 years, we have to see the trend, what is going on globally. First scenario is clearly visible, is the pressure on the project cost. So that will drive the customers or the developers towards more innovative solutions to have better average cost of energy. So that will push towards higher overloading, tracker, DC coupling technologies, and parallelly, when the module technologies evolve towards higher capacity, so that will also help to bring down the project cost. So in overall, in a same land area, today you may be developing 5 megawatt, but in the next 5 years, you may be developing 7 megawatt with a tracker, with the higher capacity panels. And with the advantage of tracker, you will get more energy, and that will be stored in the DC coupled system through LFP batteries, you can say. Now the LFP batteries are proven that is taking the more domination compared to the lithium ion. So automatically the prices are coming down. So that will drive and how the projects will look like. And plus, in terms of O&M, the aerial technology, drone-based technologies will take over the module inspections and the plant inspections instead of manual. Simply because in the present technologies, let's say IV curve scanning, we cannot detect module level fault. But with aerial view model, with the drone technologies, we can easily find the module level fault without shutting down, without doing any analysis. And when we introduce artificial intelligence, we can have one drone in a plant, and every day it will start automatically and it will scan within the plant boundary and gives the result. And it is not a new technology, it's already been there. It's there in US and Australia, where the large projects are there, where the manpower cost is very high. It's already been implemented. So it's a matter of time, it will be followed in this part of the world as well. And then the maintenance will be much faster and a much easier way. And in terms of component level maintenance, or you can say troubleshooting, the digital twin technology will come. Then the troubleshooting of the inverters or troubleshooting of the other components will become much more easier. So that is where the real smart technology or artificial intelligence will come into the picture. But it's already been in development stage, and it's a matter of time it will come. it will reach the industry.
Sure. Thank you very much, AJ. That's pretty clear. Maybe, I mean, up to now, we can see that, I mean, when we are talking about the future of the solar PV plants, will be, it's involved with a number of technology developments aspects. I mean, not just only the modules alone, not just only the inverters, but also in the other aspects and the way the operator is going to manage, operate, and monitoring the plant as well. Maybe the next question might be on, we can look into more detail on some of these aspects, right? I mean, maybe still continue with maybe AJ and Ned. The next question would be like, if we are focusing on the inverter technologies alone, what are the technological breakthroughs in inverters? And based on your experience so far, you might see some trends that like which inverter technologies are preferred by the developers, or it solely depends on the developers whether they would like to go with string or central inverters. Just in case that you have seen some kind of this idea. And also before leaving to you, I would like to know as well that just based on my experience, given the rapid growth in the electricity supply and demand and penetrations of the renewable energy source to the grid networks, this sometimes less concerns on particular challenge on the functionings of the inverters, and also considering economics perspective, feed-in tariff, availability of the land, efficiency of the MPPT algorithm within the inverters, reliability perspective. So if you can share a little bit more insight on how is current and the future inverter business will be, and what is the current development aspects in the inverters. Maybe start with AJ and followed by Ned. Yeah.
So first thing on the inverters, in the core perspective, when we say efficiency is one of the topic we say, but we don't have nothing more to develop further on the efficiency. Everybody is all on the 99% efficiency. So efficiency is a old topic, I would say. When we come to the new
seems
can you hear me now?
Okay, you are back.
Okay, sorry. In terms of inverters, you can say efficiency is we already achieved the maximum level of 99%. So that is the maximum hardware limit. We already achieved that. So our future is towards supporting the grid and how we can get more energy instead of power. So then if we talk about more and more energy, then adding up the energy storage, even for residential, commercial, as well as the utility, all will come into the picture. So in the large scale, one of the best and easiest way of adding the storage to the system is a DC coupled system. So this is about the storage and the grid support part. And second scenario is the model manufacturers will change the technologies, or it will evolve. Technologies will evolve towards, for example, 2000 volt or higher capacity panel, let's say 800 or 900 watt peak panel. So automatically the current of the PV panels will change. That will drive the changes in the inverters. So where it is going now is, you can see previously we are talking about small string inverters in the plant, but now the future is going to be a big string inverter or mini central inverter. So let's say the inverter capacity may be around 400 or 500 kilowatt, and we will be able to connect 1 kilowatt PV panel. For example, maybe in the next 5 years, you will see 1 kilowatt PV panel also. So that will reduce the number of MPPTs in the PV plants used, and we will focus more towards energy, not on the power. So when I say energy, means the when we install 50 megawatt plant, previously we may be doing 60 megawatt DC or 75 megawatt DC maximum, but in future it's going to be like 100 megawatt DC, almost double the ratio of the DC capacities. So why we do that? We will be doing this kind of plant design to get more energy, so you get more revenue out of the same locations or from the same grid, because the grid will be having limitations that you cannot feed more than 50 megawatt of power, but you can feed 50 megawatt power for 6 hours, 7 hours, or 8 hours also, or more, when you introduce tracker in the DC coupled system. And then step by step, we will upgrade the grid or supporting the grid by means of separate storage applications to, like, for example, grid inertia support, which is already been implemented in trial basis in many countries to support the grid, addition to the frequency regulations. So grid inertia is one of the new topic. So there, inverter will act as a master. Now is acting as a slave, listens to the grid. And future, the inverter will create the grid for the system, and inverter will decide, okay, now it is a fault, it will clear the faults and everything, or support the grid in clearing the faults. So all this will come from the inverters. So, um, uh, and when you see the model technologies going towards higher capacity of panels, so the multiple MPPT concept will be going out and going towards single MPPT, I would say, simply because when you overload the inverters or when you add trackers to the system, inverters will always generate full power most of the time. So then there is no role of MPPTs here. So there is nothing to improve in the systems. There is no losses because there's already clipping loss going on. So there is nothing to improve over there. So that is the reason why nowadays the PV plants are planned in a way the inverters are to be kept very near to the transformers, so that you can inspections will be done on the inverters much faster and easier way. And for a module level faults, you can always use aerial drones and everything to survey system. So these are the main technologies. And in terms of IGBTs, silicon carbide technologies are already started coming up. So that will take over the IGBT technologies up to some level of capacities, I would say. Not entirely, but up to some level of capacities.
Okay, thank you very much, AJ.
I would also like to know Karan sir's insights on the same. And Nandis, I just wanted to inform you, Karan sir has also joined the panel, so you can make him a part of the panel discussion.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Priyanshi.
Right. Yeah. Maybe give it the timeline that we have. Maybe Ned, if anything to add apart from what AJ mentions.
Yes, Kunwanti. So probably Ajay has already explained how the technology is evolving in terms of central inverter technology. So mostly it's the same, that with respect to inverter as an isolated device, there's not much to improve. But what we see as a future is grid stability and grid integration. So this is where utility projects will start playing a bigger and bigger role. Because as Ajay rightly said, with respect to grid inertia, frequency support, reactive power support, so these are all functionalities which are all available in inverters. But the utilities have also, so it's now the responsibilities of the utilities to come up and step up and ask these things to the investors, that can you do this, can you do this to help me support. Because if we go back to the main presentation, that what is the biggest challenge of solar and wind? The challenge is that the plants are located in areas where there is actually no consumption. So the biggest challenge right now is transporting or sending the power from an area where there is no usage to an area where there is usage. For example, cities like Bangkok, which is a high industrial commercial hub where there is actually utilization of power, but actual projects are not located in Bangkok, right? They are located far away, and transmission capacities are limited. Even in countries like Germany, transmission capacities are limited. So this is where storage, as well as grid integration, as well as grid support functionalities will play a key role. And this is where SMA has always been very active in working closely with utilities across the world. And I think Thailand is also on the cusp of a storage revolution. So probably in the next 4 or 5 years, we might see a lot of storage projects happening in Thailand. And case in point, in Thailand, we already have one of the first storage projects. And the main application for that project was actually peak load saving. So basically, the investor is storing power in the daytime, and he is then pumping the power in the evening to get a benefit of a higher tariff in the evening time. So yes, this is my views on this particular topic.
That's good point, Karen. That's lead to another questions which actually not in the list of the topics we discussed today, but it's worth asking. Let's say asking everyone as a panelist, if you can share your idea as well, because I know that it's coming for sure. The hybrid of the solar PV and energy storage system in the way to mitigate the grid intermittent issues, and we have seen quite a number of projects in some countries, like in northern of Japan, for example, where the percentage share of renewable energies with respect to the conventional power plant is quite high. We have seen some attempt to deploy the energy storage system integrated with solar PV projects in some of the Southeast Asia countries, like in Philippines and in Indonesia as well. So just would like to know your views. What should be the key commercials and technical challenge in introducing energy storage system to solar PV projects, and from your view, how to overcome such issues? Maybe this time we can start with maybe Hadi. Maybe start from Hadi.
Okay, so as you know, so we have some boundaries about the generation. So that one of them is the grid system. So that's why we are using the Cutlerman, power Cutlerman. So when the integrations such as battery storage come, so the boundaries and the limitation go away. And not only that one, so for example, for trackers, so one of the reasons that the trackers is not common and in the past years, but now it's getting more useful. So when we have a storage system, it give us the availability and accessibility to the storage and managing the grid in better way. So it gives us the manufacturers or the providers or the developers or the technology construction companies to bring the technologies and ideas more and more. For example, using the trackers, while we have a Cutlerman and we have always, for example, for wind, we don't have these limitations, but for solar, especially in SEA, so we have the about 10 hours daytime, and it's also limited about the irradiance. So the storage brings this opportunity to the trackers or other technologies related to this one we start investing more in these areas because we don't have any boundaries and limitations in generation. So bring more technologies, bring more ideas, and it also help to the companies. So if the production get more, not only in the energy, in other parts as well, it decrease the cost. So decrease the cost of the maintenance, decrease the cost of the production in the trackers, the PV modules as well. So that's why we are seeing nowadays, if we look at the past historical data, the last 3 years development in the PV panels is case, and the power peak, it's getting much more and more. This is because the limitations for this area, it's getting less. So the manufacturers can make the large scale PV module, the inverters getting smaller, the inverters can support larger strings with more modular piece on that one. Also, we can see the technologies come in areas such as the monitoring system or IV smart controlling system in inverters as well. In Europe, because the countries are so close to each other, so the international grid works well. This is the opportunity and the potential SEA also has. The countries are close, so they can develop the international grid with coming the battery storage, with better management on the grid system, include digital twins or AI systems in that one. So these are the next steps that we're gonna see that in the development of the energy, especially in the solar panels, with coming the hybrid systems and BESS technologies in that one. So it will be more smooth path for the development in these areas.
Okay, thank you so much, Hadi. Maybe Kun Shawanat, if you have any particular idea regarding the potential challenge to introducing energy storage system to the solar PV plants?
Yes. For the developer perspective, it's about the cost. If we want to run the project, we have to run feasibility study first. But For including tracker and energy storage, the cost will be higher several percent. So it's both pro and con for this. Normally, we will not include it in the project, except for the project that have a requirement, extra requirement for the customer. Then we will include this tracker and energy storage. But maybe in the future, when the tracking system and energy storage cost become lower, we might adjust our assumption.
Thank you very much for your
Can I address one point that he
Sure,
made
sure,
about the
Litesh.
tracking system? Yeah,
Sure.
thanks. So, Chavanat, I think from the tracking perspective, for a fixed tilt system, you would actually able to deliver much more power for a lower cost. So storage, yes, I agree with you, but on tracking versus a fixed tilt system, at least on the ground mount, you'd be able to get at least 20% more. So you'd need 20% less panels, 20% less BOS, and there's a lot of advantages that tracking does. So even without storage, you've close to 100 gigawatt installed across the globe. So tracking without storage is already working globally, and it's not that tracking costs more. Actually, tracking costs less than a fixed tilt system if you're looking at million unit generation. Sorry about that. I just want to clarify that one myth.
Okay, thank you for the suggestion. I will take it as a recommendation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So it is a matter of techno-economics, feasibility study, and optimizations, right? And that on that perspective. Yeah. Maybe because we may not be able to cover all of the aspects here, so maybe some of the questions I may not be able to run through every panelist. So please accept my apologies in advance. Maybe apart from energy storage system and challenge, maybe we can move to another key components, which is about the mounting structures and tracker system for the solar PV projects. So you can see that in the past, at least in Southeast Asia, tracker system haven't been popular in the past, but for nowadays, for the recent years and in the near future, we are expecting to see much more tracker system. And as Ritesh mentions, that it will be coming together in combination with the bifacial modules. So that leads to the continuous questions from the explanation that Ritesh mentions earlier, that I just want to know your view on if, because not every project will go with tracker system, right? Some of the projects still go with the fixed tilt ground mount system. So just would like to understand your view and your idea on how can the developers know that their projects should go with the fixed or tracking system, and any recommendation for the developer as the first stage if they would like to develop the new projects.
So is that question for me?
Yes, to you, yes.
Okay, great. So yes, I think there has been a lot of reluctance in the past because of the engineering. So people have always considered a myth that trackers require a lot of maintenance, but it all depends on it. Again, it all depends on what kind of quality you buy. It's like if you buy a Ford or you buy a Mercedes or you buy a BMW, you get what you pay for. So what we have seen in the Thai market is that a lot of people have suffered by not looking at the quality of the system and going majorly for the cost. The idea is not all trackers are equal. You need to focus on the technology of the tracker. You need to make sure that the tracker itself is delivering what it is supposed to deliver. We are seeing locations. We've got locations where we've got 3 other tracker manufacturers in the same location. We've got plants, and one of the manufacturers dropping the is about 4 to 5% lower than what we are delivering. Another one is about 8 to 10%. So many people have painted trackers in the same brush, saying trackers are bad, but that's not really true. It all depends on what is the kind of technology you do, right? You would buy a locally made, somebody who does. You've got many tracker manufacturers who are also fixed tilt. They're also rooftop mounting. So those are not specialist trackers. Those people are also doing trackers. It's like you go to a hospital and you go to the general physician to do your heart surgery. That makes no sense. But people have been doing that. So they go to a fixed tilt guy, and the fixed tilt guy he's not incentivized. So he will give you a cheap solution. You need to go to a proper person who can deliver a solution to you. And now from a tracker perspective, if you see globally, the gain in fact in Thailand is pretty good. You've got areas like Rajpuri, which are almost 20% over fixed tilt. So, and the delta is less than 8 to 10%. So upfront, even with mono modules, trackers make sense. Even with poly modules, you will see some of them repowered. We're talking to some of the developers who are repowering their plants with poly modules. They've got 300, 310. It still makes a lot of sense. Because trackers normally keep the panels in flat state, so you would closer to the equator actually results in a higher gain. So you have a higher gain with trackers closer to the equator. And so from that perspective, if you're looking, trackers have always made sense. It's just that there has been a lot of reluctance on the engineering. People are comfortable. If you see most global Australia, you talk about Australia, you talk about Brazil, South America, you talk about North America, you talk about Mexico, you talk about Europe. Trackers are the de facto standard. Where are not trackers the de facto standard? Where labor is cheap, where cement is cheap, where you're trying to maybe put in a plant for very the cost perspective. Even Thailand has trackers. There are trackers which have been installed for like 5 or 7 years under the feed-in tariff. So those plants are still running, but there are many plants which are not running because of the quality. Again, I'm going to go back to what I said in the beginning. You get what you pay for. You buy quality systems, you will get quality output, and you need to make sure that you understand what you're asking for. So there is a lot of expertise that we bring into the table. You should look for people who do pure play trackers. Most of the people are buying trackers from people who also do fixed tilt and also do roof mounting and also do everything else. So those guys are not really tracker players. Those guys are also tracker players. So what your results you're getting from them, and we are doing something, we are repowering some of the largest brands globally. People are claiming they've done 10 gigawatt, but 10 gigawatt is not really full trackers. It would be maybe 10% of that, and that 10% also would be underperforming. So there's a lot of mental blocks and myths. Like one of the myths right now was saying trackers are more expensive. Actually not. The delta between a fixed tilt and a tracker is about 10%, but the generation gain is about 20%. So you're actually making 10% more over the long term. And people are and you have developers who are comparing megawatt peak with megawatt peak. That's not how it works. So a 1 megawatt peak for fixed tilt would be a 800 kilowatt or a 850 kilowatt for trackers. So actually you save money. And now with panel at 30 cents, you are actually saving a lot more money. So that 10% delta is giving you a 20%. Now with bifacial, that's going 25 to 30%. So you're looking at almost a gain of 15 to 20, over a, you would make more money. So keeping aside that 10% extra you paid, you're making 15 to 20% more. So trackers are a no-brainer. But again, like I say, you have to understand it. You go to the people who are specialized, who are doing this, who've got installations, who've been globally, who know what they're talking about. So that is where a lot of myths are coming in, and we are happy to work with people. We've actually most of my job has been more about educating developers more than selling anything. So it's about relationship and education more real. But now there are studies globally where tracker and bifacial is blindly the standard, because you're talking about 25 to 30% more than what you would get with a fixed tilt system.
And Litesh, maybe another question from me is that some people believe that the use of tracker system may have to consider some of the other additional factors, like some people understand that the tracker systems might require to install over only the flat terrain, and if they have undulated terrain or not uneven terrain, they have to do the grading plan, grading work first. And some people mentions that using the tracker system may involve with additional O&M costs, replacement cost, or tracker motor and controller. What is your view and opinion on this?
Yeah, so those are very beautiful questions. Thank you for asking them. I forgot to mention that. So we have a zero O&M. So 25 years, we can warranty it for 25 years, not a problem. So we have zero mechanical maintenance. We are the only guy who can do that. Give you a 25-year warranty. The way that we've structured it, a lot of tracker, you would have, the way that we design is that your panels are also supported in a way that they don't degrade. Many of the other tracker manufacturers would give you shorter support for your panels. So over a period of time, your panel starts degrading due to snail trails. We don't do that. There are a lot of advantages that we are able to bring to the table from that perspective. Another advantage is that we are the only bankable tracker provider in the world who has done both array trackers as well as row trackers. When I say array tracker, it is one motor running about 10 or 20 rows. And when I say row tracker, it's one motor per row. So now the advantage, so in the array trackers, you had a requirement for flat land. I'm not denying that. That is definitely required, and you require that. But in the row tracker, every row can be different. You can have a 5-degree slope. It's the way that our technology is designed. You can have a drop. You can do. I mean, a row is 90 meters. You can. Another advantage is actually you have to do less land leveling with a tracker than you have to do with fixed tilt if you have to, because you have one post every 7 meters. In fixed tilt, you have one post every 2 or 3 meters. In trackers, that is not the case. In our trackers, you have 7 to 8 meter gap. So you only have to. We have a software. We do specific software which will tell you only at that location how much you need, and you can move the pile up and down. So if there's a 5-degree north to south slope, east to west, you can take any amount of slope. So you can even go to 17 degrees north to south, but there is a certain cost implication. So from that perspective, we can definitely work, but it still works out in the long term. Let's say grading comes in. Grading might require a 2%, even a 2% or 3% on the project cost is still a saving of 12 to 15%. But I think it'll be location to location, and we can work that out. So please feel free to reach out to me.
Sure. Thank you very much, Litesh. I think that is pretty clear and help educate us as well. I mean, if anyone's have anything to ask, feel free to drop your questions into the Q&A tab as well.
May I add something related to the trackers?
Feel free to, Hadi.
Sure. The opportunity that I'm seeing in SEA about using the trackers is very good, because in some part of the Earth, because of the orbit, there's some difference between the summertime and winter time is too different. So that's why you need to, if you are using the trackers, you need to use like the dual axis trackers. So, but in countries in SEA or like in Thailand, so the trackers, even the single axis trackers is useful, because the difference between the sunlight during the summertime and the winter time is too low. It's about like maybe 2-3 hours difference, as I know. So it's about like 13 hours in the summertime that start from like the April, and in the winter time it's just decreased to about 10 hours, or like at minimum maybe 9.5. But in different part of the orbit, it's and the difference is huge. So the investment should be on the dual axis trackers, and that's maybe that's the part that it's not trend in other part. The other things about the trackers, using the trackers from my point of view. So the earlier, because the tracker need to have access to huge amount of data of historical forecasting of the location and the sun rotation around the Earth. And the good system of management of those trackers in EW axis, east to west axis, or north to south axis. But now this, thanks to the technologies, these are very helpful to. We use some AI technologies or even machine learning technologies that develop the trackers angle during the time related to your plans. So it may be not only historical data, but using the digital twins as a simulation on that one. And the trackers follow the digital twins at the same time in the parallel, and follow those forecasting to rotate the angle of the solar panel to improve the productivity. So the numbers that we are talking about, like increasing the 20% of the solar trackers performance at the site, of course, there will be some cost and some energy deduction to use for the trackers, and of course O&M will be there. But the percentage will be much more in next few years using the digital twins in this system, especially in and using forecasting and digital twins in the trackers part, not only in the storage and the other part of the solar panel, but the trackers, I'm seeing that it's very clearly will be improved a lot in next few years. That's why we are seeing in North America or in USA, the trackers in dual axis improve about like 40% in last 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hadi. All right, yeah. So now up to this point, we have a little bit of flavor on the developments of the a couple of technologies, PV modules, inverters, tracker systems, and now let's move to a little bit on the innovative applications and innovative approach in doing things in a better way, in a more effective way. I would like to throw the questions on the topics for discussions on maybe the first is on how about the aerial inspections technologies, which I believe that, I mean, this aerial inspection technologies has been quite matured in other regions, but not much in Southeast Asia. It just have been popular in the last few years. But for in other regions like in Indonesia, in India, for example, it's quite popular quite a long time ago. So in your view, maybe this question may relate to both Hadi and Shawanat as a developers and solar PV plant solutions, that from your perspective, how the aerial inspection technologies are currently be used for the large scale projects. Maybe continue with Hadi and followed by Shawanat.
Okay, so as we are talking about the scales, the improving the scales bring a lot of factors and needs to the companies, such as availability, the supervision, O&M part as well. So for getting through these solutions, so we have more accessibility to the sites. So it's not only on the ground mounting solar panels, it's also in other parts, like for floating as well. So because the accessibility is less and the operation will be less. So that's how aerial inspections and aerial technologies come and involve in the solar technologies, most in solar, but however, in other part of the energies as well, it's developing very well. For aerial inspections in the three phase of the inspection, phase of the project, it will be useful. It's even in pre-construction and design and survey the sites for the investors or developers, and during the construction part as well, because there is some problems in the project management that the drones can help us to overcome that one, such as having the orthomosaic map of the drones, or like the DSM, DTM map surveying of the drones, or we have some other technologies related to drone that it also can be integrated in later on with other parts like as tracking system, because it has give us the better vision and realistic photos of the shading analysis of the site and the land. So it will be very helpful in ground mounting, mostly in rooftops, because in the rooftops we are dealing with a lot of construction, the buildings, the shading areas, but in the ground mounting it's not much. But however, we have there. The last and most important of the using the aerial inspection, it comes in the O&M section. So in O&M sections, of course, there are some technologies involved in the modules and manufacturers, like using like non-destructive technologies or NDC to reduce and decrease the micro cracks. But however, for detecting these defects with drones in O&M, and not only the micro cracks, that we are using the EL technologies, electroluminescence inspection, and the cameras for that one. However, in the normal O&M part for the inspection, that finding the hotspot or multiple hotspot or diode bypass, the drones come and involve a lot. So it bring a lot of advantage to the operation and maintenance part of the solar energies to save the cost, not only the cost of the inspection by the paying to the human resource, but also it saves a lot of time as well. They're collecting data from drones literally 70% more than the normal inspection or handheld cameras. The second part is the improving the generation. This is also the saving the cost. So when we are talking about the percentage in large scale plants, the numbers like a 1% ratio increase, it's a huge number. And this happens in the first year of the solar panel inspections. However, after 5 years or few times that we are using the solar panels and the heat comes, the weather problems or the some other issue that happened in the solar panel, this number is getting higher, 2-3% or maybe more. This is the benefit of the drone inspection and aerial inspection that can we see in the solar panels. However, there are the technology getting more, and we will see as Karan mentioned, I'm not sure the Karan mentioned or this one or Ajay, we can see the autonomous drone inspection as well. So the autonomous drone inspection, that's how you have the drone in the side, and there is no even human resource to manage that drone. It come by AI system. You give the rotation to the drone or the pilot mission, and it start rotating your site based on the time. It's not only the PV panels. We can see it in the substation. We can see in the transmission line as well, the power line and the grid or the towers area. It also used in the asset management during the construction because it gives you the realistic photo, so you can have a better management and asset management of your site. This is how I can mention about the drone. There are some more technical parts in the drone, but however, because of the lack of the time, I would like to cut the topic and move to another person. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hadi. Any ideas from Kun Shawanat, or in case you have experience on the using drone applications to the solar PV projects, that would be great to share your experience.
Yes, okay. I would like to share developer experience from this topic. So nowadays in the PV market, they are using the thermal inspection with drone to enhance the solar power plant efficiency. There are a few steps to do, and it will greatly help to increase the solar power plant efficiency and recovering revenue loss. The first step is to do the data acquisition. The O&M team will go to the site to collect the data from photo and video. And then the second step is to do the data analysis. The data analyst will check the quality of the data and then do the image processing to enhance the quality of the photo. And then they will do the machine learning to recognize the pattern of the defect. For instance, we categorize defect into 4 category: hotspot, diode issue, module short circuit loss, and then other defect. And then the data analyst will make a summary report and go to the next step, which is the claiming process and then the fixation. And then the last process is to develop the preventive and maintenance plan, not to get to plan further, not to let this happen again, something like that.
Thank you so much, Kun Shawanat. Now, apart from we're talking about the drone application, right? Another talk of the town, the hot topics at the moment is on the utilizing digital tool, which will be the new norms in the future for sure, I guarantee. And some promising platform is the digital twins and power generation forecasting tool. Both to it, I believe that of you here attending the sessions might be familiar with, but just in case that some of you may not be familiar with the word digital twin, just to know like digital twin is let's say it's a virtual representation platform that can translate and reflect the data, visualize data in the real time, and that will be pretty much useful and be applicable to a number of aspects for the solar PV projects, right? So maybe the questions to, again, maybe start with Kun Chawanat as well. How the digital, just in your view, how the digital twins and forecasting can bring extra value to the solar PV business?
Okay, I will focus on the digital twin aspect. Now the business model of the solar market is a private PPA doing the B2B between the customer and the developer. But in the future, this model will change to the peer-to-peer energy trading platform. And the good example from this is a NETP platform from EGAT and PAMEA that developing together. They use the smart wallet as a marketplace to match between supply and demand, and then use the smart contract, which blockchain technology to improve the system. It will have a transparency because of the consensus protocol and safety because it's immutable ledger. And they will also use the smart meter to do the IoT things and make the transaction is real time. So this is the future of the peer-to-peer energy platform that I think Kinjalo will involve in this also.
Thank you very much, Kun Chawanat. Hadi, any additional things to add on the digital twins and forecasting tools?
Okay, so related to digital twins, so we used to have the simulators in some other industries, but in the solar and the energy industries, of course, it's common in oil and gas because there are a lot of risks in oil and gas. But in the renewable energy, especially like the energies like solar, because there are not too much, and we're not dealing with a lot of risk or a lot of generation at the moment. It's getting high, so the digital twins not involved much, but it's getting more and more. So in the digital twins section, based on the data of the data acquisition and the collecting the data from the sites and putting some technologies aside, like the forecasting technologies or some IoT technologies as well, they start making the digital twins or the simulation of their sites. So it gives the O&M team that how your site should be work and operate during next week or the current moment, and how is really working at the moment. So it gives us the differences and the comparison between what it should be and what is it. So it gives better vision to O&M team to start doing and working to operation and maintenance to increase the efficiency of the solar site. And not only that, but also the digital twins give us the solar panels in the large scale to better management as well. So we are seeing that inverters developing a lot, and there are a lot of technologies involving to the inverters, and even we are seeing that inverters can connect to the cloud computing system to collect the data, the better collection the data. So we don't need too much third parties to come and work in the site to provide the data. So the inverter providers or the manufacturer provider of the panels, they start doing some technologies or chipset to connect the data with some protocol like MBOS or RS technologies as well. So this data collection bring us opportunity to we start involving digital twin at the site. So we are seeing some big companies like Google or like Microsoft, they involve already with digital twins, and it's they start using it. Like I see they are making like digital twins technologies in Korea, in Japan, in Middle East, in Saudi Arabia. It's common a lot, but in SEA it didn't develop yet. Not much, but by coming the drones, by coming a lot of technologies and integrated all of these technologies, such as forecasting, such as grid management, the battery storage, P2P as well, the inverter trackers. So because the management getting harder and the technology involved getting more, so the need for digital twins increase a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hadith. Given that we are running out of time, so please allow me to propose the final questions. I mean, this should be the question for every panelist in this course. Maybe starting from AJ. Do you have anything or any comments in relation to the topics of these sessions on the technology trend shaping the large-scale solar market that you would like to leave to the audience?
So from the conversation we have here, that there are a lot of technologies are evolving, and some of them are already been in the industry in some other countries. And so the thing is, you can bring that to Thailand and you can use it. And for example, the AI-based drone technology is already there. Storage is already there, but storage needs some incentives from the grid operators or something like that. So that's a policy driven. So whatever it is possible to get cost optimized and in a best way, you can do it. So there are very different options out there in the industry to do it. From the inverters perspective, for us to support Thailand grid, we have storage, we have grid inertia supports, we have DC coupling system, and in terms of for the developers to get better ROI, our inverters support all types of trackers. In terms of overloading, we can go up to 200% overloading, which has been followed as a norm in USA, for example. Most of the projects are with 150 to 200% overloading. So in terms of future projects, whatever you need, we have the solutions for that customers to support.
Thank you very much, AJ. Maybe to Hadi again. If you have anything or any comments to leave for these sessions.
Actually, nothing much. Our expert already mentioned a lot about the parts that they are expert in it. Inverter trackers learn a lot. From representative of Super, we are starting R&D about the new technologies like the drone inspection that we already have 4 type of drones. We are still doing the in-house inspection in Vietnam, and we hope we can share this technology later on with our Thai corporations. I hope that we can see the technology development soon from all manufacturers in next years that decrease the cost a lot, decrease the BOS or other part of the cost as well, and improve the efficiency, like having the better recyclable solar panels as well, that we didn't mention in here. That's one of the barriers that we are dealing with the recycle. So we are trying to help to have a green earth, green future. So that's one of the things that should be considered, to have a better recyclable panels or the storage as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hadi. And last but not least, Kun Shawanat, if you have anything, comments to leave to everyone here.
Yes, for the technology, next year there will be a change of the regulation a lot related to the next technology. For example, the new regulation from the EIT that will launch Q1 next year, and it will change the 1000 voltage system of solar rooftop to be 1500 system, and also the rapid shutdown that it might be added in the regulation. So yes, the developer and supplier should prepare for it.
Thank you so much, Kap. Yeah, actually we still have 3 minutes left, but I mean, I see no further questions from anyone here, and therefore I would like to take this opportunity to thank you every panelist experts today for sharing very good idea, good insights on these topics, and that really appreciate. I would like to hand over to Priyanshi. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. And you did an excellent job. And I can't tell you how much you contributed to the success of this session. And thank you all the panelists. everybody's insights really added value to the session. Till then, bye from our end, and don't forget to join us tomorrow for more exciting and insightful panel discussions. The floor is open for networking. Thank you, everyone. Please do take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, Priyanshi. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.